Hello, and welcome to the Overflow Podcast. My name is Craig Booker.
The title of this episode is Welcome to a New Way of Life. The material in this episode is inspired by Winning the War on Worry by Louis Giglio. Note, I will talk a lot about mental health, but please note this is not a substitute for therapy or mental health care. I am not a counselor or physician. If you need help with mental health challenges, please find a qualified mental health professional.
Welcome to a new way of life. We're going to begin this episode talking through the introduction to book, which is Winning the War on Worry by Louis Giglio. Louis Giglio says, worry is so prevalent in our society and throughout our daily lives that it often feels inescapable. Instead of worrying being an occasional event, many of us have learned to embrace worry as part of the fabric of our lives. Worry has become woven into our regular rhythms, and for many of us, it's become an identity. We say, I'm a worrier. It's just the way I am. As a result, we live in a perpetual state of being worried about something. In fact, you might already be worried about the promise and prospect of this book. He goes on to say, as believers, we are meant to live a life characterized by the light and easy yoke of Jesus. That's Matthew 11:30. And the more room we give what he refers to what ifs, the more heavily burdened we become. So he goes in that first introduction, he talks about these what ifs. What if I lose my job? Or what if, someone gets hurt? And that's what I mean by what ifs. There's another quote to open this. It's by Arthur Summers Roche, and it says, "Worry is like a thin stream of fear trickling through the mind. If encouraged, if encouraged, it cuts a channel into which all other thoughts are drained." In my own words, I said, worry is an equal opportunity offender. Like, it doesn't care who you are, how much money you have, what family you come from. It affects us all. And Louis goes on to say, worry can weasel into the hearts of business leaders, professional athletes, high school seniors, first time moms, creatives and artists and producers and designers and software engineers. It can creep into the minds of chefs and astronauts, truck drivers and teachers. It can even get into the minds of pastors and people who are called to work for the church. And Louis goes on to say, worry is a choice. And he also alludes, I didn't put this in there, but he also alludes that he knows that it's not always that simple. He talks about how in other books that he's written, how he's been rather transparent with his struggle with anxiety, fear, and worry. And so that's why, he says that he knows it's not that simple. He goes on to say, God can conquer worry because he has already been victorious over the ultimate root of worry, which is fear. We'll dig into this in a later chapter, but First John 4:18 says it so well. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear. It goes on to say, God is greater than fear and all its cousins, depression, anxiety, panic, and worry. And if God is greater, you and I can experience freedom from the grip of worry that robs us of sleep and peace. Louis says, I believe that as we go through this next chapter together, the truths you encounter will have the potential to set you on a new path and give you the tools you need to replace worry with a greater sense of trust in the Almighty. Throughout our journey together, we'll look at both the theological and the practical. We'll fix our eyes on the only one who has perfectly conquered worry and anxiety while also setting our feet into motion as we go to war on worry. If you stick with this, I believe you'll find help for the headache and hardship lingering in your life. However, please understand this is no self-help guide. The essence of winning the war on worry is knowing you can't do it on your own. Like most attacks of the enemy, when we battle worry, we can't make or muster a strong enough defense by ourselves. It is only by the might of God and the love of Jesus that we can stand firm, take ground, and win this fight. So hopefully you're kind of seeing some kind of theme kind of transfer from our last study about, you know, making this positive progress in our lives. And the theme is that we can't do it alone and that we shouldn't do it alone. Many times I think we want to do it on our own because we don't want to depend on other people. We don't want to burden them. Maybe we're embarrassed by how we feel or the emotions that we're experiencing, and we'd rather not bring people in for one reason or another. And so I think the theme that we're seeing between these two studies is that it's essential that we bring not only other people in, but God into the story. He goes on to say, my goal is to point you to the one who is greater, to the God who encourages his people. Philippians 4:6-7 of the NLT says, don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. Tell God what you need and thank him for all he has done. Then you'll experience God's peace, which exceeds anything we can understand. His peace will guard your hearts and minds as you live in Christ Jesus. And Louis continues on and says, remember when I said that the enemy loves to utilize the weapon of what if? Instead of fixing on what ifs, let's commit right now to acknowledge that God has already provided us with the truth of what is, like is. God doesn't deal in confusion. He doesn't leave things to chance, and he is never unsure of the final outcome. He doesn't do if. He is, and that is a truth on which we can build our foundation. Wherever you are in reading this, no matter what you're walking through, I encourage you to speak out this reality. God, I believe you are greater. Specifically, you're greater than whatever I am worrying about right now. That's all for this episode. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes.